everyone. Good morning. Glad you guys are back. Today is my baking roll day. I always have one day during the week that I like to make a batch of homemade rolls that we can eat for dinner with our dinner, or my husband loves to take them in his lunch, either with sausage or ham or turkey. So we're going to get started on this. So the first thing we want to do, this is using yeast. But the first thing we want to do, there's a little bit of prep work in this, and it's something that you need to start pretty early in the day because there is rising time and all that. So this is something you can't just whip up in an hour, but it is so worth it. I have got 1 cup of milk, and it is about 110 degrees, anywhere from 90 to 110. You don't want to take it right out of your refrigerator because the cold will kill the yeast. So I have got 1 cup of milk, and I use the yeast in the jars. So if you are trying to switch from packets to the jars, a packet size is 2 1/4 teaspoons. So if you go to the jar version instead of the packet, it's 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. So I'm going to put this yeast over in my milk mixture, and I am just going to stir this around. I'm going to put it in a warm spot, probably my microwave. That's about the warmest spot in my house. So we are going to let this set and proof for about 15 minutes. And when we come back, we will see all of the frothy top on it, and then we will go into our next step for it. So let's give our yeast and our warm milk about 15 minutes to come together, and I'll be back and we'll get started on our next step, okay? Before I put this in here, I did forget one thing. To my milk mixture right here, this whole recipe is going to call for 3 tablespoons of sugar, and I've got that right here. I've just got the pure cane sugar. We need to put about half of our, close to half, you don't have to measure it, of our sugar in with our milk and our yeast, and set that aside. I went to put it in my microwave and I remembered, so I got back on here real quick. Okay, so there we go. I'm gonna put this back in the microwave and I'll see you back here in a second, okay? Okay, so while we are waiting for our yeast to finish rising and doing its thing, we're gonna go ahead and get our flour measured out and get that ready, and then get our mixer over here and get our mixing bowl prepped. So for this recipe, it calls for 3 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. I use the King Arthur unbleached all-purpose flour. That's my flour of choice. And I'm just gonna put it in there, get it up here so you guys can possibly see. Okay, so I'm just leveling off 3 1/4 cups. We're gonna put that in our bowl. And 1/4 cup, and look, there it is. Just trying to see it in there. There. I think that is perfect. Okay, so we've got 3 1/4 cups of flour. So that is ready. And also, while I was letting my yeast do its thing, I went ahead and melted on the stove 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter. So I've got that sitting there. And we are going to now get our yeast, get our mixer over here, and we'll get our yeast going, and we'll start the next stage, okay? Okay, we have our yeast, and it's good and frothy. See if I can get you to see there. I don't know if you can or not. So we are ready to go to the next step. I've got my mixer out here, and one little tidbit of info, I always like to make sure that my mixing bowl is warm. You know, when it just sits in the house, it tends to get a little cold, so I don't like to shock my yeast by putting it into a cold bowl. So I like to run my mixing bowl in under hot water. So it's ready. So we are going to put our yeast mixture in our mixing bowl, and make sure that you get all the little frothy stuff out and all that, okay? We're gonna put that in there. To my mixing bowl, I'm going to, let me get over here maybe where you can see it better. I'm going to add the 5 tablespoons of melted butter. Pour that in there. I'm going to add the remaining sugar, okay? So I put half of my 3 tablespoons of sugar, I put half of it in with my yeast and milk. I'm gonna put the other half in there, and we're gonna give it a whisk. Just to start getting everything mixed and stirred around really good. Okay, and I'm going to crack 1 egg. Drop that in there. Give it another little mixture, little whisk with it. Okay, now we are going to take, we've got 3 1/4 cup of flour. We're going to put about half of the flour in our wet mixture. So, I don't normally work from behind the mixer. Okay, so I've got, that's roughly half. Now, I'm going to take my whisk and I'm going to whisk it again. It will start sort of looking like pancake batter or cake batter. So give that a good little whisk. Just to stir and incorporate that, okay? So now, we're done with the whisk. I'm gonna put that in there. Okay, so we have the rest of our flour mix, or just our flour. Now I have my salt, and this is just a real fine sea salt. So we're going to now put the salt in with our flour. I like to give it a little stir around with my hands. Clean hands, that is. Okay. Let's get our dough hook. Well, let's put this in here. Put the rest of our flour in there. Okay. And we're gonna get out our dough hook. There we go. Okay. We're gonna put it down. We're gonna lock it off. And we are going to start, and I'm gonna just start on low, just for maybe 15-20 seconds, so I won't have a bunch of flour flying around. And then we'll bump it up to about a medium, and then I'll let that go for about 2 minutes, and we'll check, and I'll show you how to check the elasticity of the dough, and then we'll turn it out on the counter, and I'll do one little small knead with my hands. We could do it all on this, but I do like to roll it and just get familiar with my dough. So let's start it on low and just watch it. And you might have to, from time to time, you might have to scrape the sides, and that's okay. You can stop it and do that, because you want to make sure that all that dough is incorporated. Okay, I'm going to turn it up to medium. And just watch it, and it should, for the most part of it, when you get ready to turn it down onto the counter to finish your little last minute hand kneading, it should be pretty clean off of the sides of the bowl. And we're going to let this knead for about 2 minutes, and then we will come back and turn it on our counter, okay? Okay, so our dough is kneaded. And I want you to look, if you can see, let me get it out here just for a second. See how clean my bowl is? So that lets you know that it's a really good knead. When your bowl comes out, nothing is stuck to the sides. So we're gonna set that over there. Now I'm gonna get just enough flour to just sort of lightly dust my counter. Okay, and we're just gonna sort of work it just a little bit, very lightly, not long at all, because our machine did do the majority of our kneading, but this is just a good way to get it on the counter and just to feel and see how the dough is. Okay, and that looks pretty good, and you see, I don't know if you can see, but it bounces back really well. Also, another way that you can test, if you just pull, and I'm gonna do it facing you, if you just sort of get a pinch of your dough and you pull like this, you can see sort of daylight in between, but it's not ripping. That's a sign that your dough is really good. So we've got this here. Now, I'm gonna just get my bowl that I had my flour in. I'm going to use just a little bit of avocado oil, and I'm just gonna put just a little bit on the bottom of my bowl. And I like to sort of rub it around and coat the bowl pretty well. Okay, and we are going to put our dough. So you can just smell the butter and the richness of this dough. We're gonna put that right in there. I have a tea towel or a flour sack towel, I should say. I'm going to cover this with the flour sack. You can use plastic wrap if you want to, but I normally use this to cover my breads. And we're gonna put this, I'm gonna put this in my microwave, and I'm gonna let this set for anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then we will come back and we will start making our rolls and let them set for one more setting. So it does take a little time to do. It's not something you can whip up really quick, in an hour, but it is so worth it when you pull these out of the oven and you put some good Irish butter on it. Oh, they're amazing. So I will be back when we have some fluffy full dough and we'll get to making our rolls, okay? It has been an hour and a half since we put our dough in the microwave to let it rise, and let's look at that. It has doubled in size. Perfectly fluffy and wonderful right there. That is the perfect bowl of dough. I'm gonna bring you guys in a little bit closer, and we're gonna get these rolled out into little individual rolls and put them in a buttered 9 by 13 inch pan. And then we're gonna let them proof for another hour to hour and a half. And then we'll put them in the oven. So I'm gonna bring you guys in a little bit closer and we'll get started, okay? It's lovely, isn't it? Okay, so we have fresh, clean washed hands. So all we're gonna do, we're not gonna flour our countertop this time. It's just make sure it's sprayed off and there's nothing sticky or anything on it. And we are going to just take our dough out like that and put it on the counter. And basically you just want to just sort of flatten it down a little bit. Just sort of mash it down like that. And we're going to divide this into, first we're going to do it in half. Let's go this way. If you don't have a bench cutter, pastry cutter, you can always just use a knife. Okay, so we are going to put it in half, cut it in half like that. Then we're going to cut that in half. Okay, so now each quarter we're going to cut into quarters. Okay, so I'm going to put these over here and make sure that you guys can see good. Yep. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we are just going to cut these into quarters. They don't have to be perfect. Just make sure that the dough is about the same size. Okay. That's what we're going to do. And how you want to do it is you want to get your little, your quarter of your dough like this. And I just sort of take my hand and just sort of rub it, hold on to the dough ball real lightly and just sort of roll it like that. Okay, yeah, you guys can see that. Some of them might be slightly, I mean, if one's too much larger, you can always take from rob Peter to pay Paul, as they say. But I like to try and take them like this and just sort of pinch them. So see, you've got that little pinched side, and then I take that pinched side and I put it like that, lightly just sort of roll it around. And that's how you get your nice little roll. Pinch the ends, see? Take it down. Like that. Pinch it. Take it down and roll it. Okay? So we cut our dough into quarters, and then we're going to cut the quarters into quarters. So we will have 16 rolls. So I am going to finish cutting these, and then we will put them in our 9 by 13 buttered pan, and we're going to let them rise for another hour to hour and a half, and then we'll be ready to put them in the oven. Okay, so let me get these rolled up, and then I will be back, and we'll get them in the pan, and I'll show you that part. Okay. Okay, I've got all my rolls in their little ball form. I'm going to, this is just a glass 9 by 13 inch pan. I'm going to take some butter. I do keep butter at room temperature in my butter dish that I keep on the counter. So I'm just going to take part of that butter, and I'm going to just butter the bottom and the sides of my pan. Sure that's good and coated. Okay. And actually this butter here, I'm gonna set that to the side, and then I'll melt that when the rolls come out of the oven. I can just melt that and pour over. So, you know what, cooking, it's just, sometimes you gotta get your hands in there, and I love to cook with my hands or work with my hands. Okay, so there we've got that buttered. And I'm just going to put these in here. You don't want to like put them right on top of one another. You want to give them a little bit of room. And actually this is, we've got 16, so it's going to be not like in perfect little rows. There's going to be one row that's going to be a little wonky, but I've got to try and fit that extra roll in there. I might try maybe and put it there. But we're just going to put those in here. I'm going to cover these with saran wrap, and I'm going to just put these on top of my stove and just let them sit there, because I'm going to start prepping some vegetables and meat and whatnot for supper. So I'm just going to set them over on my stove. I'm going to cover them with a little bit of saran wrap this time, and I'm going to just set them on my stove and let them rise for about another hour and a half. It seemed like the hour and a half was good today. So I said sometimes between an hour and a half and 2 hours, but today I guess my kitchen was a little warmer, so it only took an hour and a half, and I figured that's about what it'll take then. So I'm going to cover these up and just set them over there, and then when they are ready to go into the oven, we are going to preheat the oven at 350, plop these in there for about 20 minutes, and that should be it, and they will come out golden brown and delicious. And I'm going to get started on, I'm going to fix beef tips and egg noodles tonight for supper. So I'm going to go ahead and have that in the video that will be following this video when we get done with our rolls. So I'm going to start prepping and doing things for that. So I will see you back here in a little bit, and we'll get these bad boys in the oven, okay? Okay, our rolls have set and risen for the past hour and a half. Look at them, they're beautiful. We have a pan full of rolls. So now I'm going to put these rolls into a 350-degree oven, and I'm going to bake these for about 20 minutes. And as soon as they come out, I'm going to reveal the best homemade rolls you will ever put in your mouth. Okay, so let's go put them in the oven. Okay, the rolls are out of the oven. Look how golden brown they are. Oh, so I cooked these at 350 for 20 minutes exactly, and this is how they came out. And I am going to keep this mitt on because the pan is hot. I have got that butter the rest of the butter that I buttered my glass pan with. I went ahead and put it in there, stuck it in the microwave, and melted the rest of it. And now I'm just going to brush these rolls with that hot melted butter. Oh, they look so good. Danny's out on the mower. He got in from work, and so he's out mowing. So he'll be out there for the next couple of hours while I am getting supper ready. And so when he comes in and he taste tests my beef tips and noodles, I will let him taste test one of these. But right now I'm going to try and pull one out. Let me get this right here. Ooh, they're hot. Let me get it up here close where you can see. I hope you can see this okay. But look how, I mean, they are so soft and so buttery. They are absolutely wonderful. So I hope you guys will try these rolls. They are wonderful, and you make really good sliders with these too. Last week I had about 6 of them left, and I made us little cheeseburger sliders with them. So they're very good. So I hope you guys like this. If you did like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed to my page, or channel, I should say, please go and hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you guys so much, and I appreciate all the thumbs up and the people who are subscribing and commenting on my videos, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot to somebody that's just starting out on YouTube, and I love to cook, so I might as well share it with you. I'm gonna get off here, and I am going to get started on my beef tips and noodles. And I will put a link to that video in the drop down box of this one here. It should work out for me. If it doesn't, just look for my beef tips on my channel, but I should be able to link it on there. So anyway, rolls, hot rolls, fresh rolls. It's the only way to go. So until next time, my friends, be safe, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye.